T minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. It's a depression. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. We know the air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. We sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living rooms. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. My life has value.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Exposing Satanic World Government, Global Watchman News. I hope you guys are all doing well. We are broadcasting tonight over on Facebook. Welcome to Facebook. Also, Global Watchman News 2 on YouTube, and we are also broadcasting on Twitch. We ask that you please, if you are in the chat room, keep it family friendly. We will have moderators that will be watching the chat to make sure that we stay within the terms of service put forth to us by the platforms that we are using tonight. You're new to the channel, you're new to the page, welcome. Take a minute to hit that subscribe button or the like button on the page. Hit that bell so you know when we go live. So I just want to give a shout out to everybody for following the new channel over on YouTube. I will put the link in for you guys so you can go over and make sure you're subbed to that channel. So tonight I have a special guest with me. I have a friend of mine who is a fantastic researcher. She has a YouTube channel of her own. We're going to let her plug that in just a little bit. But I want to welcome to the panel Ella. Hey, Ella.
Hi. Hi, everybody.
How you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. And yourself? How's everybody else doing?
Doing good. Looks like everybody's doing good. We got a packed house here. We got almost 100 people watching. So, yeah. So we're going to talk tonight about something that you brought to my attention. I don't know how it slipped by me, but it did. But we're going to talk tonight about Cyber-Polygon. Can you give us a little synopsis as to what that is?
Well, it's a military operation that actually is a simulated war game that they basically simulate cyber terrorism, or if you will, a cyber pandemic.
Isn't that an interesting word to use?
It is. I mean, they did it to us. They had a simulation back in 2019 with a human pandemic, and lo and behold, we had a human pandemic, quote unquote, in 2020.
That's right. You're talking about Event 201 that took place in October of 2019 that miraculously, less than 6 months later, went live.
It did. It very much did. And funny enough is that we were just discussing, you and I, earlier today about Mr. Klaus Schwab and how we'll own nothing and we'll be happy. And that all ties into Cyber-Polygon, or as everybody seems to know it, Agenda 2030.
Right.
That's just another name for Operation Cyber-Polygon.
Yeah, and it seems interesting that, okay, well, let's go into this a little bit. So this took place last week, and I'm going to try to pull on this one. I'm going to get to that one. That one shows the, let's do this one first. Cyber-Polygon 2021 to address global response to ransomware. What an interesting... Let me just say that Event 201 went live after it was finished. It seems as if Cyber-Polygon went live before the operation, with all of the ransomware that took place in the city of Miami, the oil pipeline. We've got, there's been places, literally all over the world that has been taken over by these ransomware. So it just seems the timing is a little suspicious.
Well, let me ask you, when our potato in chief talks about infrastructure and human infrastructure, well, when we put that into perspective, what exactly have they been targeting? Our infrastructure. They talk about our infrastructure, but what exactly do you believe that Cyber-Polygon actually targets? I mean, they wanna collect as much money as they possibly can before they pull the plug on just about everything we know and we survive on.
Exactly. I have a 7-minute video I want to play for you guys, just to kind of give you an idea behind Cyber-Polygon. And give me a second here. There we go. There's this one right here. I'm going to play this real quick for you guys, just to give you a kind of a background or a little bit synopsis of what it is. And then we're going to delve into a little bit more and talk to you guys about, not only does this affect the infrastructure as far as our internet infrastructure, or it also affects us. And we're going to see how this plays into the Internet of Things and 5G. So let's play this real quick and we'll be right back.
2 weeks after the Department of Homeland Security warned law enforcement and government agencies across the country that these types of attacks will likely increase. According to cybersecurity researchers at Huntress Lab, more than 1,000 companies have been crippled by this attack so far, many of them small businesses. This, of course, comes after several recent major cyber attacks by hackers believed to be based in Russia, including the recent attacks on Colonial Pipeline and meat supplier JBS Foods. Of course, the Russian government has denied any involvement in any.
REvil, the same Russian cyber gang that fleeced the largest meat supplier in the world for $11 million last month, is thought by cybersecurity experts to be responsible for the latest ransomware attack. In a message posted on the dark web, the criminals offered the decipher key to the thousands of companies affected across 17 countries for a mere $70 million in cryptocurrency ransom.
Society has a troubled time. preparing for things that are remote or possible and will occur. There'll be another pandemic. We know that. Biological and now cyber threat. I mean, each one of those has terrible possibilities, and we do some things about it, but it's just not something that society seems particularly capable and fully coming to grips with. The cyber threat, we just started, and look at the damage that's already been done.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about cyber attack. So this is the first article I wanted to show you guys. This is from the Toronto Star here in Canada. This is basically 2 weeks ago. Canadian government warned to expect more aggressive cyber attacks from China, Russia. So it's always China and Russia for some reason. They mostly blame for these attacks. Here's a recent one. I think this is from July 11th, so Sunday. UK food supply chain vulnerable to cyber attacks. So the states did suffer some cyber attacks for their meat supplier. So this is expanding worldwide. Here you have cyber attack hits Iran. This is for the transportation system, and this is on Sunday, July 11th. Here, July 5th, gang behind huge cyber attack demands 70 million in Bitcoin. Here we have it. It includes like 700 Swedish corp supermarkets, 11 schools in New Zealand. So this is affecting us globally. And here's another article, 2 more cyber attacks on U.S. water supplies. And we recently just had this like simulation of a cyber attack carried out by Cyber-Polygon. And this had a lot of the world leaders involved, a lot of huge companies. Here you have like IBM and, some banks, big, huge corporations. I believe in the IMF is involved in this. So people are really preparing for something big. Now, whether it's going to happen tomorrow or in a couple of years, nobody really knows. But this is a narrative that people have been pushing quite aggressively in the past few weeks. Here's an email I got from Spreadshirt. This is a company where I upload designs for print on demand, and I sell merch with Spreadshirt. Now, I don't really do too much business with them. But right here, I recently got a letter from them. They got hacked. The data affected included addresses, information, password hashes saved before 2014, and bank account details and or PayPal addresses. We recommend that you change your PayPal password and any password you have for accounts with us. Luckily, how I said, I don't do too much business. I don't think I have too much information with Spreadshirt, but this is really pretty increasing, and it's kind of getting out of control. So I just wanted to bring that to you guys' attention. There's a lot of scams also going on in the YouTube comments area. So especially when I do content related to crypto.
Okay, so he's saying that, this is something that is taking place. It kind of reminds you of the war games that, the different countries of the world take place. They're the nuclear games, or what do I want to call it? Nuclear war games that the United States, Russia, China, all the superpowers participate in. And ironically, this, like I said, this took place right around the same time that this rash of ransomwares happened. I don't believe in coincidences. What about you, Ola?
This is no coincidence. Nothing in life is really a coincidence. It's designed and manufactured. And actually, if you don't mind, I'd like to dive in a little bit further.
Go ahead.
This is a DARPA situation where back in 2012, there's a company actually Let's see. Regina E. Dugan and Ken Gabriel, who happened to be the CEO and the COO of ALEAP. They were both DARPA agents that actually came up with these war game simulations. And this is basically to break and bend the will of humanity. They were, ironically, also the two that greenlit the RNA research back in 2012. There's plenty of research. They're now actually intertwined with Google and most of the cellular phone companies that we are currently experiencing all of this massive censorship. I mean, outside of the social media. But this is where this all began, and Mr. Klaus Schwab and the Economic World Forum picked it up because they got super interested and threw money at the research. But I mean, I thought that would maybe be a fun little fact for everyone that DARPA was involved.
It doesn't surprise me that DARPA was involved, considering, I mean, we're looking at this is cyber, meaning internet, meaning, you know, this has to do with everything connected with the internet. We can't survive without our internet connections. It's our computers, our phones, our TVs, our security systems. I mean, literally everything, our banking, everything is done electronically. And they know, the powers that be know this, and they know how to control us. If they can't get us with something that takes us, you know, that attacks us physically, because I mean, that, let's face it, the last year is pretty much fizzled out. The gig is up. We all know it was, you know, it was a hoax. And so now they have to up it again. And now they're going to hit us, you know, with this cyber threat. Which, what's it going to do? Well, we're going to demand more security for in the cyber infrastructure. And I think that's going to come with the 5G and all that DARPA crap that goes along with that.
Well, even before then. So if they stop the shipment that goes in through our ports, and they stop the food production, and they stop our water supply, I mean, that's enough to cripple the world's population and bring it down to its knees.
Absolutely.
There's so much more involved in our day-to-day life and all the things that we actually thrive on. I can't even say survive, because we can pretty much survive on the bare necessities, which we can do ourselves. And I want everyone to know that you can survive without the internet. You just got to roll up your sleeves and do the work.
All right.
But everything that is a luxury, I mean, most of everything that we have today is a luxury in reality, if you actually look at the bigger picture. But we came to know these things as something that's a necessity. It's an essential. But, you know, I just think that all of this stuff is by design. Well, I know it to be by design. I haven't concealed the fact that I have military ties. I was in the military before. And, you know, I've been through, and I think, you know, we've spoken about my past and my story in depth and how I know the things that I know. I mean, aside from researching.
Right.
And, you know, this is all intertwined with, you know, asking and begging for change, and them ushering in the one world order rather than the new world order. And, you know, it's and
well, because we know that they're going to basically make it so that we demand it. We are, you know, what it was the saying, that the new world order will come either by consent or by conquest. And they don't want to lift a finger any more than they have to, as far as to do it by conquest. They want to do it by consent. They want to make it so it's our idea, that we think it, you know, that we demand it. And you know, the harder they make it for us by hitting us with the luxuries like the internet, or, you know, the banking system, or the telephones, or whatever it is, whatever that luxury that you're dependent, or you think you're dependent on, you know, then people, the younger generation, will demand it. I mean, you got kids standing in line for 2-3 weeks for an iPhone, whatever. Can you you know what I'm saying? I mean, can you imagine those same people making the demands that, you know, we want the reset? And I think it's interesting because let me pull this back up. This is right from their site, and they list power grid, banking reset, cyber terrorism, and cyber pandemic.
Yeah. That's the recipe for complete and utter chaos, if you ask me.
Let me ask you a question. Out of the 4 that's here, what exactly is a cyber pandemic?
It's a made-up term. In reality, it's nothing more than a global power outage that's going to last for what's going to seem like eternity, basically.
It's one of those made-up terms that they love to throw at us.
They just make it, you know, the World Economic Forum, I got to give it to those guys. They seem to make up these terms that make it look like it's not so bad. You know, like Klaus Schwab, if you hear him speak about Cyber-Polygon, he says, it's a mere, and I'm going to try and
hold on a second. I got that. Oh, no, that's not the one. Which is the one? No, I don't have the one, but go ahead and say it. I know which one you're going to say.
It's a mere inconvenience and nothing more.
Inconvenience. That's right.
I don't know how it's, you know, how inconvenient it is for the people that don't have any food storage or don't have a means of heat because it's, you know, all electric, or that live in cold climates, especially.
Okay. Let me say, okay, so this last year, okay, I believe to be the whittling down of our I don't even know what I want to say, but it's whittled us down. We have people who have been out of jobs, out of work. You know, they have put they lifted, but they did have a moratorium on, you know, people being evicted from their homes because it was such a, you know, they couldn't pay the rent. There was no money coming in. Okay. So the people that had stockpiled things and had stocked up and had prepped probably most likely have used a lot of their supply in the last year. And I think that was the plan, is to get the preppers to deplete their supply.
Actually, I'm going to throw this out at you. What they did was, besides putting moratoriums and giving out stimulus money or whatnot, the one thing that nobody talks about is the EBT, you know, the electronic benefits program, where they give out food stamps. Those actually, during this pandemic, or I guess if you want to call it that, they quadrupled. So, which allowed all the preppers and all the homeowners, or, you know, even people that were into just being prepared, you know, let's put it that way. It allowed them to acquire more, not less.
Oh,
because
wow. Okay.
You were able to, at a drop of, I mean, whether you normally would be able to receive these benefits, probably in a normal everyday life, probably not. You make too much. I mean, if you make anything over like something like $500, you probably are not able to receive any benefits, but because according to the government, you make too much. But during this event that we had, the event 201, they quadrupled benefits. So somebody who was probably looking to receive, you know, or regularly receive something like $100, now was getting somewhere upwards of $400+.
Wow.
Benefits monthly.
Yeah. See, I like I said, I don't know, you know, what happened. I know I don't even think we got a stimulus check for this or anything. We didn't stop working, but you know, the timing of this is so auspicious. It's almost like there was a plan.
There always is.
I want to put some of these up on the screen. This is Klaus Schwab. And he started the World Economic Forum, I believe.
Actually, before there was Mr. Schwab, there was Kissinger. Kissinger was one of the originating members of the World Economic Forum before this handsome gentleman, right before that.
We're gonna get to this handsome gentleman right here. But this is something that Robbie and I have been telling you guys about, how the reset is going to, people are going to want it, demand it, accept it. And how many times have you heard Robbie say, you'll own nothing and you'll be happy about it? That's something that Klaus Schwab of the World Economic Forum, of this Cyber-Polygon, this is what he says. And I have a couple more here. Klaus Schwab says nothing will ever return to normal. So if you're thinking that, we have to do X, Y, Z, or do what the government tells us so we can get back to normal, you got this man who is most powerful, sits on a council, probably equivalent to the CFR and, all those secret organizations, the Council of 300 and, the Council of 7. And he's telling you that nothing's ever going to return to normal.
Oh, absolutely not. He's actually insisting that it never returns to normal.
They don't want it to return to normal. In the new world, it's not the big fish which eats the small fish. It's the fast fish which eats the slow fish.
Well, I don't know. I pretty much think that they are the slow fish. Because at the rate that everybody is waking up, at the rate that everybody is understanding and researching, they can't even shoot down websites that are popping up everywhere that have a plethora of information.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, from actually, surviving all of this to how to prepare for all of this to, they can't even strike enough of us down, like we're just overflowing with all information at all times.
Yeah.
Which we're working these Freemasons to the bone. Actually, they don't like it because they have to work extra hard.
Of course they do. I think the creation of the internet was kind of a double-edged sword for them. It was gave them the ability to track people a little bit easier and to find out what people are doing and be more intrusive into their lives. But in the same sense, it gave us access to more information, and they pretty much couldn't hide anymore.
Well, think about it. It's always that duality. You always have that duality in all things.
Always. Yeah. Klaus, here's another one. He says that thing up on that thing.
Yeah, the thing.
Outbreak is the first big step towards unprecedented control over mankind. Just read that, guys. I want you just to take a minute and look at that screen and read what he just said. That is the first big step toward unprecedented control over mankind. How easy was it for them to manufacture an event and completely take over people's minds?
Hey, Laurie, if for future down the road, if we end up surviving, if they get rid of the word unprecedented and never use it again, I think I will be a happier person. Right. They use that in everything's unprecedented nowadays. It's like, oops, how did that happen? Like there's some sort of shocked spectators in all of this.
Yeah, it's the shock factor. They nothing's unprecedented to them.
No,
nothing's unscheduled. Nothing's unprecedented. Nothing comes as a surprise. Nothing comes as a shock. They have this all planned.
Of course. Just to speak a little bit in the background, what's actually just to kind of tie the two together. If you actually look, bring back on the screen the Cyber-Polygon screen with all the cubes and the prisms. I think you had it in your arsenal of visuals. Can you bring that up for us?
Is that one?
No, not this one. Okay, I thought you had that one.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was the gentleman that was speaking in the video.
Hold on a minute. I do have it somewhere. Just give me 2 seconds here. I've got so many tabs pulled up as usual. This one?
We can go with that. Okay. You could see the prisms anyways in the background. Like, so Right there. That's perfect. Right there.
Okay.
Okay. So if you actually look at that print, and actually bring, if we had that, I have it on my other mobile device, but this is the same structure as the graphene that's being disclosed to us in the, the thing,
Right.
that they're going door to door with.
Right.
And ironically, if I think people can remember the last day when Donald Trump and Melania Trump, when they left the White House and they arrived in Florida, and when she got off of the flight down in Palm Beach, she was wearing that orange and blue dress that had the same print on there. So if you actually bring up, the three and you can put the picture together, that all of this goes hand in hand, one with the other. I mean, this is all a group effort.
Give me just a minute. Oh, that is a god-awful, ugly dress.
It is, but their symbolism is their downfall, though.
Who designed this? Hold on a minute, guys. Who designed this? I remember seeing it now, but
that is a very flamboyant dress. I gotta say
that's one way of putting it. Give me 2 seconds. I gotta try to find it. I got a lot here. I just saved it, and I don't know where I saved it to. Oh, my Lord in heaven. Image. Okay, you know what? We're not going to do that way. Give me a second. Copy. Save as. Okay. I had to rename it, so that way I can find it. Okay. Let me pull this up. Oh my goodness. Okay, I don't know where it is. So let me do this. I apologize, guys. Here we go. There's her dress. It wouldn't save it on my computer. So let me see if I can find a different one. This dress is just god-awful ugly.
Well, I guess perspective. Some people actually think it's nice. I mean, but she's wearing it for a reason. And as they were walking out of the White House and stepping into the new normal, so to speak, I mean, this is a message, clearly, because I wouldn't wear a long sleeve dress or a long dress in Palm Beach, Florida, to save my life, because it's very hot and humid down there. And but if you look, the print, those orange, those orange, I don't even know what's called, the orange polygons, I guess, if you want to call it that. They actually are the same as the graphene molecules, and they're the same as the Cyber-Polygon.
Oh, wow. I'm going to actually show you guys something else. I've got it to save, so let's just pull it up. 2BB. Here it is. Okay, let's put it up on the screen for you guys, because I also want to put up something else, because this is what it reminded me of. Here you go. There she is right there. Let me download this one and show you real quick. Oh, that's a GIF. I can't do that one. But the image, or the shape of the image, I believe, looks like the North Pole of Saturn. Give me a sec. North Pole of Saturn. Is that the same shape?
Similar, but yes. I mean, all you got to do is just turn it a little bit, but.
Because we know how much they like their old Saturn worship.
Of course.
It's pretty interesting. Okay. So continue with the dress.
I was just putting the foreground of, basically the foundation, if you will, that, they're in on this also. I mean, everybody seems to think that Donald Trump is going to save us, and he's going to be the savior in this story. And Guys, not all that glimmers is gold.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, I mean, they're all interconnected, and symbolism is their key thing. That's how they communicate with one another.
Mm-hmm.
That I believe that dress was a green light to start, sending out the graphene with the what, and then that maybe it was red, like a green light to start working towards Agenda 2030, because Event 201 was executed, and I should say pretty flawlessly.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I wanted to lay down the foundational work to show that all these things are interconnected, and they're trying to show you that by the things that they're wearing and all of the visuals that they're putting out in front of everyone. I mean, not only that, if you actually look, the cube for cryptocurrency, if you actually look it from the top as well, it makes that same symbol, like Bitcoin, for instance, each blockchain or each block. If you actually look from a 3D, from the top of the actual cube, it actually makes that same shape.
Wow. Amazing. And here's the graphene that I found real quick. And the information that's coming out about the jab and it containing this graphene is quite interesting in itself. And we're going to get into that on another show, because that's something I want to delve into. I got a lot of information about that. But yeah, it's quite interesting that we're seeing the same symbolism that's happening right underneath our noses.
Oh, yeah.
Let me go to this one. Is this one? Let's get a little different perspective of this. Another aspect of what's going on real quick. This is a real quick video. It's a minute and 21 seconds. That video right there came right from the World Economic Forum, and if that doesn't make your blood go cold, I don't know what does.
Yeah, it's interesting that you actually just played that short video, because their plan is that moving forward, be closer to 2030, is that every, I would say, child has an implant where they get to control the thoughts. They basically get to control our children from here on in. All the impulses they get to monitor, track, and trace without even having to use the facial recognition. They've even mapped out. This is how far that these crazy people have gone. Is they actually have models of children's brains in their offices. Because that is the object, that's the object of their desires, to basically control and manipulate from a young age, so that this way the future generations don't even know that any of this is happening.
Or if they do know it's happening, they're going to make it look so inviting and so, I mean, look at this. When you talk about connecting to the Internet of Things, they're talking about these implants in your brain. Elon Musk is talking about this, and all you got to do is think about turning on the lights in your house and they turn on, or think about starting your car and your car starts, or think about turning the TV on or turning the TV off, or you just, when you go to the grocery store, you don't have to carry a wallet, you don't have to carry credit cards, you don't have to carry anything. You just run your hand over the scanner and that's it. They make it sound like so inviting. So this is, oh my gosh, we need to move forward. This is our future, and they make it look so good with shows like Star Trek and sci-fi shows like that to actually entice people into welcoming this type of technology when they can't even secure the city of Miami's cyber infrastructure. They can't even secure our oil pipelines cyber infrastructure, and you want to put that stuff into our brains and our bodies? Come on.
Well, they want to make it so. Okay, so we're according to Mr. Klaus Schwab, we're all mindless eaters, and they want to keep it that way. I mean, why do you have to remember to take your keys or even take your phone when they can just implant it in you and you just go about your day and you think that it's the coolest thing ever? But they want you not to think for yourself. They want you just to comply and
mindless zombies.
Pretty much. And for the most part, we give it to them because we fall into these patterns. And I'm going to say it this way, and I hope nobody really gets upset with me, is, in a society of laziness, what did we expect was going to happen? I mean, we no longer produce our own food. We no longer teach our offspring anything. We pretty much hand our children like iPads and iPhones and, to keep them busy and preoccupied. And, and they use that against us. I mean, the one thing that these Nazis, let's call them for what they are, they're modern day Nazis. They survived. They use that laziness, that comfort, whatever is easiest, whatever, brings us these gadgets, doohickeys, whatever you want to call them, whatever brings that on, they're willing to provide that. I mean, in exchange, you get that, but in exchange, you give up civil liberty and freedom.
Absolutely, you do, and a lot of people don't even realize this.
So I will tell you, I had a friend who I've been friends with for 25 plus years. I mean, I grew up with the gentleman. He lives in Miami. And, I was in horror, absolute horror, when I found out that his faucet is a smart faucet, his doorbell is a smart, the ring, his thermostat in his house, and his pool is all connected through all of that stuff. Everything is smart, so he doesn't have to remember anything. Mm-hmm. And he was laughing at me because everything that I still have, my day-to-day life, besides my smartphone and the computer and the televisions in my house, which is like very little. We don't even subscribe to anything. We don't have television in our house. We just have a screen that stands there. But, he was laughing that I'm still in Pony Express and that I'm stuck in the Stone Age. And I'm like, but I like it that way because I'm less controllable and I'm less impressionable to these mind-altering things. I'm not going to be lulled to sleep. It keeps me on my toes that I have to remember to change my thermostat manually. And,
back in the 1980s, there was a movie with Parker Stevenson. I'm aging myself here, but I know there's a lot of people my age that are in the chat rooms. There was a movie with Parker Stevenson about a smart house that tried to kill him. Y'all remember that movie?
Actually, funny you should say that because, they changed his thermostat setting. And mind you, in Miami, it's like crazy heat.
They did that in Texas. They were shutting everybody's, they were turning everybody's air conditioner up or whatever.
Yep. And there was no way for him to change it back. I mean, I don't know what happened because we stopped being, this situation that we just went through. It tore a lot of people apart. But last that I was speaking to him, he had no way, and he was panicking because it was like 85 degrees in his house. And it's hot. And I'm like, listen, why did you do that? And you're laughing at me for having an analog or, manual thermostat. At least I have heat coming out, like in the winter months.
Right.
I mean, in New England, we don't have central air conditioning because it gets to be like 30 below zero. So those units outside would freeze and you wouldn't even, and you would have to fix them yearly. We have,
life is so much different in the Northeast.
It totally is. I mean, I live in Maine and in northern Maine. So, we have like 3 seasons. We have winter, preparing for winter, and mud season. I mean, you blink and the summer is gone. I mean, we only have summer like June, July, and maybe until mid-August, and that's it. And then the ground starts to freeze all over again.
Exactly. The movie, somebody said it was Lawnmower Man. No, actually the movie was called The House Possessed. It was 1981. It was with Parker Stevenson. That was just
predictive programming is such a thing,
Oh, absolutely it is. Absolutely. While we are talking, I'm going to throw up this map, and this, I showed it to you guys the other day. I'm just going to put it in our background when we're talking. This is the live cyber threat map. As of today, just today, there was 89,422,699 attacks just today worldwide. And I'm just going to leave this on to kind of play in the background while we're talking. So that way, you guys can have kind of a sense of what goes on in the shadows.
Oh yeah. I mean, we should have, or in your previous episodes, when you went live, you should have had it on while the audit was going on in Arizona. I mean, that whole section of.
Now this map is new. Norse map was something that I found back in 2012. I was following Norse right up until about a year and a half ago, and the site went down. And now this one, I had to search for this one and try to find it, but this is not the same one that I
no, this particular one has been up since they started the Arizona audit. I've been following this only because I wanted to take a gander at how badly they were going to try to alter or stop the audits from happening. And let me tell you, Arizona and Georgia were lit up orange. I mean, they were and it was like a direct line that was solid. It never even stopped.
Wow. Yeah.
They were trying to stop at, but they were hand counting and looking at the actual paper ballots. Whatever it is that happens with the machines, that's been captured already. I mean, Mr. Mike Lindell has been going on and on and on that he has the proof. He has the proof. Oh, there it goes again. You see, that's actually lit up right now in that section of our country. So how easy is it for them to just, from one pinpoint, to just target our entire country and just bring it down? I mean, all of our ports.
If they can hack the city of Miami, and this is why I tell people, when they hack the city of Miami, not once, but twice. And you want to know why they did it the second time? Because they paid the ransom the first time. Guys, nobody can make us 100% secure from a cyber threat. There's really no way to make us 100% secure from cyber.
Well, Mr. John McAfee said it the best. I mean, even the most encrypted, like Proton Mail, for instance, I was fooled. I went for Proton Mail out of Gmail, thinking that it's encrypted, and lo and behold, nothing is held sacred. I mean, there is no hiding anymore, So, I mean, when they want to know something, they'll pretty much know.
Exactly. Now, I don't know if you know, but there is a new upgrade to the Bluetooth that's coming out. I watched a video today. Tony did one on his channel's his YouTube channel is called God Rules. His name's Tony. And he did a video, I think it was either yesterday or today, talking about the new upgrade on Bluetooth. And they've made it so now that, when you look at the Bluetooth, you look at the schematics of a Bluetooth, it is only communication between you and your device, okay? The new upgrade now has it so it connects through the Internet of Things to everybody around you.
Didn't Amazon do that?
It's
also.
almost like a com, you know, like in Star Trek when they had the comm and they push the thing on their ear and they could talk to somebody.
Yep.
That's kind of the way it is. Like you can communicate, like, Johnny needs to come home. You tap it and you say it's time to come home, and boom, it goes right to him. Doesn't even need a phone. It just goes through the Bluetooth.
Didn't Amazon have something like that where you were all connected to, like, let's say I have like 3 or 4 neighbors that live off to the side of my house. If they participated in Amazon Prime, and I forgot what it was called because I don't participate in Amazon anymore.
I don't either.
It's been a really long time, but yeah, they had something like that where it interconnected basically anyone that was around you within like a certain proximity, that it connected to their phone, and they got to see what you order, you got to see what they order. Listen, sometimes sharing is not caring. I don't want to see what my neighbors are ordering, and I don't want them to see what I'm ordering. Should I order it?
No desire to see what my neighbor's getting.
No.
Of course, with me, they probably be, oh my God, she's buying more paper towels. It seems like I have a problem. Okay, I'll admit it. I have a problem with paper towels. I use it for everything, and I go through literally cases of it. So yeah, when we have a big box on our porch, it's my paper towels are coming.
Listen, something, I can relate to that. I have 5 dogs, and the youngest one being under a year old, and every time I leave the house, I come back with more bounty. And that's the one thing, and I keep saying this, I would like for somebody to explain to me, maybe somebody in our chat room can explain to me, what was the obsession with the toilet paper craze at the beginning? I was like, have we become that complacent that we can't live without toilet paper?
Well, what's funny is my grandparents, they lived through the Depression, and I really didn't know how it affected them mentally until after my grandmother died in the 80s, but my grandfather didn't die for another 15 years. So when he passed away, the family, me being the oldest grandchild, and we went in to start cleaning out his house, and he had literally, guys, closets packed with paper towels and toilet paper. Apparently, he was a hoarder of it because of the fact of living through the Depression when they didn't have it. So I don't know what kind of, psyche. I don't know.
Well, I have no idea. I know that for me, I grew up in my grandparents' house, and more so with my grandmother. But my grandmother is a Holocaust survivor. They come from the old Soviet Union. Mm-hmm. But my grandmother always had like a towel that she swapped out at the end of the day, like before she went to bed. She would throw, it was for, going number 1. Yeah. And instead of using toilet paper, and I used to ask her all the time, like, you don't find that to be a little gross? And she's like, well, desperate times called for desperate measures. I'm like, well, you live in America, and it's like, 99, somewhere around that time, to that effect. And I was like, isn't it time to like break that? And she's like, never, because they're really good practices. What happens if one day they don't have toilet paper?
What happens when 2020 comes and you can't find any toilet paper?
Well, I don't know. I don't know whether she was thinking about 2020 or that far ahead, but she was just saying, like, you never know. Like, it's good practice to, do stuff like that. It doesn't mean you reuse it the next day or like a week from now. Like you wake up in the morning, you put a fresh one out, you go to bed, you put it in the dirty laundry, like you do the laundry and then you have fresh towels.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm just, and it goes hand in hand with Cyber-Polygon because, and the reason why I speak about these topics is not to, skeeve people out or anything, but these are the things that we have to think about. What happens? I'm not going to say if, I'm going to say when, because it's only a matter of time. Exactly. Think for a minute that you can't flush your toilet. Think about for a minute when you can't run out to the store to go buy toilet paper. What do you do then? It's time to start thinking about these things. If before we used to, like back in early 2020, we waited for the stores to get more toilet paper and people fought over, the X amounts of packs that they had. Yeah. What happens when you can't go to the store because the store doesn't have anything in it?
Yeah. Well, here's another thing is, and this is something that I don't think a lot of people think about, because you really seriously have to think outside of the box when you're thinking about prepping. Now, a lot of people will go out and they will get a bunch of rice and beans and stock up on it. Let me ask you a question, y'all. How are you going to cook that rice and beans when there ain't no electricity?
That's a good question. I think a lot of people kind of forego that situation.
I think they drop the ball when it comes to it. You know, we're prepared. We got all this water. We got all this, you know, beans and rice. We got beans and rice, and we're all set to go. Well, yeah, that's great.
You know, so I introduce people to a handy tool because, you know, some people actually still have the can opener because, you know, one of the most popular things is the canned tuna or the canned chicken and all of the canned goods, right? So what happens when your electronic can opener does not work? How do you
I know that. I know the answer to that. Take it outside and rub it on the concrete.
Well,
am I right?
I guess so, or you could just make things a little bit simpler and just buy a 55-cent. Well, maybe now with what we're having with the deflation of our currency, it'll probably run you around $5. It's called a P38, which is a military can opener.
Okay, I know what that is. That's so, it looks like a little piece of metal that's bent.
Yep, it's like a little blade that's bent. I have one on my keychain, probably on both sets of keys. You know, I mean, people laugh and they're like, "Why do you need that?" And I'm like, "Well, you know,
you never know.
You never know. I mean, worst case scenario, somebody tries to grab me, I could just jab them really quick." You know,
people in the chat are saying fire pit. Hey, you know what? Fire pit's great. Okay, unless you live in the city, all right, and you don't really have, you know. Here's the thing. I'm not going to build a fire pit in my backyard. I live in a cul-de-sac, guys. I live in a there's 70 some houses in the place that I live, in the development that I live. All right. Think about this. I'm sure the heck not going to go out and build a fire pit in my backyard, okay, and start cooking when I've got starving neighbors around me. Am I going to share? Absolutely, of course. But there's going to come a time that, you know, hey, everybody for themselves.
All right, so I have a little propane rocket stove for the inside of the house, but I actually alleviated Eric and, well, my husband and I, when all of a sudden I was like, that's it. Because in New England, our homes get heated with number 2 oil. I mean, you can't have you can have baseboard heat, but most of the houses that are built in New England, where I live, were built in the early 1900s, if not even older. So I was like, that's it. I know what's coming, and we're gonna get a wood burning stove, and you know, we have enough woods all around us. We can just go chop down some trees and dry it out, you know. But it also works, you know, as a double function where we can cook on the wood burning stove, you know, without going outside. But honestly, I'm not opposed to going outside and actually trying to cook outside. We have means to defend ourselves, which is also something that a lot of people drop the ball with because, you know, they live in cities that are going to be considered smart cities. It's outlawed to have firearms, but it's very important. George Soros would not be buying up armories or ammo manufacturing plants for no reason.
Well, look at the United States government. They bought how many? What, 5? I don't even remember the astronomical number amounts of hollow point bullets back, 8-9 years ago. I mean, they bought them up for a reason, guys.
Well, not only that, Walmart, and it's a funny little fact up here where I live. I don't know how other Walmarts stock their shelves, but a couple of years back, about 5 years ago, we were able to walk into any Walmart in our immediate area and pick up a 250 pack of hollow points for on the cheap. I mean, just to go to the shooting range, and you know, we'll call it just any old regular Saturday for my husband and I.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't even think twice. And now, you know, they don't even carry that at all.
Yeah, the price of ammunition has gone up astronomically. I know my son. We were talking the other day, and he had just bought a new sidearm, and you know, he was going to go out and shoot, and I said, "You're going to go to the gun range," and he's like, "Yeah." He goes, "But he goes, I don't go very often because ammunition's so expensive."
Oh, I know. My co-host on our YouTube channel, Jamil likes to train. I mean, he's training for something. I don't know what, but you know, home defense is home defense. But he used to go out to the gravel pit, with live ammunition. And now he's kind of resorted to getting either a pellet gun or, even laser,
Right.
just to save on the ammunition. I mean, one of the most incredible things that you could do for yourself, or a skill to pick up, is learn to make your own ammunition. That's
I've
something
heard about that. I've never looked into it.
something that's most invaluable. It's very valuable skill to have right about now. I mean, not only that, and I want to focus the attention a little bit. How many of our listeners actually get prescriptions through the pharmacy? I mean, now we're faced with the fact that we have to now shift our thinking how to heal ourselves. I mean, based on the things that we need. Like, for instance, I have an autoimmune disease. What actually helps me? I mean, I have no shame in saying that cannabis actually helps me immensely. Do I sit home and smoke? No. But I've learned to, make topicals to heal my body. I mean, I've gotten more and more into like the herbal tonics in terms of not just cannabis, but like dandelions and mullein and, all these things that are found natively around, like in the, what we consider weeds, and we mow our lawns.
Right.
I think I told you about that. We stopped, mowing a section of our front lawn because the city was fighting us a lot about who actually owns that piece of property. And finally, I was like, well, then if it belongs to you, then you mow it.
Right.
And lo and behold, we found so many medicinal plants that we mow over.
Oh, wow.
And it's all social conditioning, like everybody needs to keep up with their beautiful lawns, but
right. The well manicured lawn, the freshly cut grass,
right,
those weeds out. Oh, absolutely.
Right. But then when you let it grow out, you'll find that, nature provides things for us that we actually, we benefit from more than the synthetic pharmaceuticals that they keep pumping us.
They have a new app for your phone now. I don't know the name of it, but you download the app and you like hold it over a plant and it tells you what it is.
Oh yeah, and it gives you the medicinal properties.
Yeah.
I know. I have like a few different variations of that same program, whatever works, because some programs pick it up, some don't. I mean, they're very temperamental because things look in the process before they bloom, they all the plants look kind of similar.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I wanted to bring awareness really quick. If you have, a dependency on the pharmacy, when the pharmacy doesn't get any more shipments, or, the power is out, how do you heal yourself? Like, from all of these things.
Exactly. Foraging, it's weird because a few years back, people were making fun of the people that were foraging, in the city parks and stuff like that, but they've got one up on the rest of us. They're going to be able to go out and get these medicinal herbs. My friend, she's deceased now. She was my head moderator for a number of years. Wee Tree, she turned me onto the dandelion and the corn silk.
Super medicinal plants. Super. Medicinal. Yep. And
literally just the silk of the corn on the cob, that silk that you throw away, make tea out of it. It's amazing what it does for you.
Yep. I mean, back in the Depression, how about the dandelion jelly? And dandelion pie. And I mean, they did anything and everything they possibly could. I mean, to heal themselves and get nutrition and total nutrition. And they didn't have, I mean, maybe they did, back in the Depression, maybe it wasn't called Ritz, but it was not very easy to come by. I mean, if you did happen to, get your hands on something like crackers, then you either were considered to be a wealthy person or extremely lucky.
Right.
That somebody bartered with you about that.
Exactly. Derek, I see your comment. You want to know about that app. I sent it to you. I just text you with it. Looks like there's a couple of them. If you go into the App Store and you just type in plant identification or plant identifier, a bunch of them will come up.
I just had to go look. I have like a little library behind me. One of the other things that I actually picked up, it was a suggestion by Facebook. Would you look at that? It was something useful on Facebook. It was a book called The Lost Book of Herbal Remedies. by Nicole Apollon, PhD, and Claude Davis. It's the healing power of plant medicine, which actually identifies hundreds of plants and their medicinal properties. That's another good one. And they give you, when you buy the actual book itself, they give you a whole bunch of ebooks in your email box. Also on what to do, how to preserve them and whatnot. I thought that would be something worth mentioning because it's a really good tool to have. I mean, having it on an ebook is nice, but having during something like cyber pandemic, it's nice to have actual physical books.
Yeah, exactly. And that's that's also the thing is a lot of people depend on their electronic devices to download these ebooks. When the shit hits the fan, guys, and this whatever goes down, whether it's the grid, the power grid, whether whatever it is, you're going to want to have something tangible to be able to look at, to pull up. And there's a lot of good books because the fact that people are depending so much on ebooks. If you go to garage sales, there are an immense number of books that people are getting rid of it cheap.
Estate sales are good too.
Yeah, the estate sales. Yeah. I know there's one, it's called the Encyclopedia of Botanicals, I think it is.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can find them pretty cheap. Like I said, everybody's pretty much depending on being on ebooks.
Yeah. I mean, the name of the game here is that they're betting and they're right. I mean, without our infrastructure, half of our population will not survive this. They're not prepared. They're not mentally prepared. They're not physically prepared. I mean, but it takes a little bit of self-control and a little bit of dedication. But we still have time and people can get there. I mean, before the food supply starts breaking down. I mean, if the weather has anything to do with it, look, we're in a massive drought all throughout the world. I mean, never mind that there are floods happening, in different countries, like the Three Gorges Dam broke and there's flooding in China and so on and so forth. But in our country per se, we're under a massive drought everywhere. I mean, I live in New England. We're in a massive drought all the way spanning to California. I mean, I just watched a video. I like to watch Canadian Prepper. And even he today put out a new episode that showed that the grass is like turning brown, which never happens in Canada, which I believe to be true. I mean, it's cold. We have a lot of moisture in our grounds because I live like something ridiculous, like 2 hours away from Canada.
Yeah, but you also said that, I mean, your water, your prepping water supply has been dwindling.
Oh yeah. Well, no, I can't say that it's been dwindling. I just bought the rain barrels and I thought that maybe it would rain enough that I would collect at least a little something. Guys, I just want you to know I have 220 gallons of water collection capabilities. I maybe have a gallon or a gallon and a half between all of those.
I'll trade you, girl. I told you earlier today, man. There's so much rain here. I'll ship it to you.
I would love them. I mean, I'm on the verge of just taking my hose and just pumping like all these rain collection barrels full of water and throwing some colloidal silver, because that's another thing. Just because you collect all of this water, if it's standing water, eventually algae grows from the heat. It'll freeze over in the winter time. I mean, bacteria grows in standing water. Even when you do buy these things, you just got to think a little bit ahead and just be like, well, how am I going to prevent it from going bad? Because all of these things do go bad. And I got to give it to the preppers. I can't say I've been like a hardcore. I was at one point after the situation that I had in 2010. And then I met my husband and everybody was just like, you got to chill out with that stuff. And everything's okay. We live in America. Everything is in ample supply. And I kind of gave it a rest and, I didn't go back to sleep all the way, but, I kind of decided to relax it, and just live the family life. But lo and behold, I kind of feel like I lost a lot of time. But I got to give it to the hardcore preppers that have thought ahead. And they think about all of these things and they've been stockpiling all of these things. And I'm just, wow, that was a massive amount of dedication and a massive amount of work, because even when you do buy food like rice and beans, think about, these are seeds. I mean, not the rice part, but the bean part, the wheat part. and those things have, when they get harvested, if they're not terribly processed, they have insect eggs. Everything does. I mean, that's part of nature. And they hatch. I mean, you have to rotate your food, and you got to go through it, and it becomes a job. I mean, and we do that every so often over here. We got to go through what we have.
Oh yeah, you have to rotate everything. I know. I think a lot of people. I think Y2K left a bad taste in people's mouths. I know, as myself and my daughter's father that I was with at the time, we were big Y2K preppers. I mean, huge. Okay, and and I always tell people, it's not going to hurt you to have a supply of food, at least 3 months supply of food, if not more. Okay,
and that's easily attainable, Laurie, because
it is.
You go grocery shopping weekly, right?
You go to the dollar store. You realize what you can get at the dollar store? I mean, we're talking canned goods and stuff that you can actually get. But you know what? If you don't use it, and we do, and if nothing happens, then you know what? You got food.
Right.
It's not like you're never going to use it.
Right. I mean, even if you have the rain barrel, like I do, I'm growing a garden. I don't know what happened just last year when we got locked down. I was like, you know what? We don't have anything better to do. We have nowhere to go. So I'm just going to learn how to grow my own food and be self-sufficient. And I was never interested in stuff like that. I figured I would always buy it and stock it. And no, I mean, I've put in the work. I mean, it's a lot of work to grow a garden. And granted, not a lot of people have, like the actual space to do it. But even if you grow under, like, let's say they have those, home permaculture kind of apparatuses, even if you start with something so simple as growing your own
the one
herbs.
where they're stacked up on one another? They're like, you put them in the window and they're like, different stacks.
You don't even need to put them in the window. There are some that actually have like LED lights over them, so you can grow. I mean, they have whole closet. Like, it's not like a closet. It looks like a box. I mean, they makeshift them now so fancy that it looks like a part of your living room furniture. And you can use it as like a side table or as an accent piece. But if you actually open it up, it's a grow closet. And you can actually grow your own food inside. I mean, providing that the power is still on, it actually connects to your phone and it'll tell you what nutrients it needs. And you can adjust the light cycle and the airflow inside. I mean, there's a whole science to growing food and herbs. But But it's time to start, it's time to start thinking about these things, guys, because what happens when they shut off our food supply? I mean, how far, with what you have in your home, how far can you get with that? How far can you get with a few pallets of water when you have to flush the toilet, bathe? If you've got a pet, the pet needs water.
Children.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. In reality, what they're trying to do is they're trying to basically cripple us into submission.
Well, I mean, what's the old saying? Control the water, control the food, control the people. I mean, literally, whoever controls the food supply controls the people.
Basically,
okay, bottom line. And I've always warned people that they will use hunger as a motivator.
Yeah, and your average person goes 72 hours without eating food, and all common sense goes out the window. I mean, they're ready to eat. And it's all humanity. I mean, if somebody were to turn off my food supply and I'm going hungry in a matter of 72 hours.
Yeah. And not only that, but I mean, you think about you, and guys, I've said this before, you have a small child, here you are, this child is going to bed. This is probably your third night, hungry, crying, the tummy hurts, there's nothing to do. You can't do anything. And the FEMA bus pulls up and says, come with us. We got all kinds of food. We got warm showers. We'll make sure your kid gets fed. All you got to do is take the mark and get on the bus. What do you think people are going to do? What do you think people are going to do at that point? What, let their child starve to death and die?
No.
Or are they going to get on that bus?
Just think about Nazi Germany didn't start with the ovens, guys.
No, they didn't.
They were promised a lot of different things.
They were.
And what we're going through currently today kind of mimics all of that. I
do believe that Nazi Germany they are using the same playbook. Those who don't learn from history are doomed to repeat it.
Correct. That's
Yeah.
absolutely correct.
We have a couple of questions in the chat room. I'm going to put one up on the screen for you right here. It says, Jeffrey says, how long are we just supposed to talk about this and do nothing? Again, these people are going to force everyone in this chat, including our children. This is coming very soon.
That's a really good question, Jeffrey. I think that's how you pronounce it. I like your last name. We share that last name. That's a really good question. I've been asking that question, and I've been talking about, they've had us segregated by race, by financial category, by abilities. I mean, like nationality, religion. I mean, we're even divided over this election, and the election is nothing more than a distraction.
Right.
And I guess the change starts with us. And, if we stop trying to wake people up and try to unite with them and try to find a common ground, I think we would make a little bit more progress than trying to wake people up and they fight back with us and we get stuck in that repetitive pattern.
Right.
I mean, the change starts with us. I mean, I know how ridiculous that sounds, but it does. It starts with a grassroots movement, and, we have to be the change.
Got another question from Born for this time. People who take heart meds, are there any non-pharma things that they can do?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's a matter of monitoring how much sodium you actually eat, because the sodium dilates all, the components of the heart and raises the blood vessels, but it also raises your blood pressure, which puts strain on your heart. I think that's one of the key components. Staying on top of certain supplements, and again, I'm not a medical professional.
Yeah, we're not giving out any medical.
I'm not giving out medical advice, but I am going to say it's worth a shot to go see a holistic practitioner to talk about these things. Right. It's go to the health food store, see how you can fortify your heart, and maybe get into low impact exercise. I mean, that's another way to strengthen the heart.
The thing about it is the Most High has provided for us and I'm going to say, I'm going to differentiate here, because there's a difference between natural illnesses and man-made illnesses.
Right.
For every natural illness that we could have as a human being, the Most High has provided, I believe, natural remedies for it. I mean, so if you went to the health food store, or to an herbalist, or to, contacted somebody who's in the holistic part of it, and, every component that is in a medication, there should be an equivalent in the herbal family.
Not only that, I don't think that most people really understand the direct correlation between illness and nutrition. And nutrition is 90% of it. And I say that with all due respect, not that people eat bad or intend to eat bad. It's genetically, I can't say genetically. It's not genetic. They designed it that way, where our food that's being put out, if you are not careful with where it comes from, who produces, the actual food, it brings on these illnesses.
Let's be honest, Ella. Let's be honest here for a second. Okay. Now, if I'm going to go to McDonald's, okay, I'm just using, guys, I don't eat at McDonald's. I'm just using it as an example. Okay. But if I go to McDonald's, I can buy a cheeseburger and a fry for $2.14.
Really?
Okay. Well, they're $1 a piece and they're 7 cents tax, I think so. So $2.14 for a hamburger and a small fry. Okay. And you know what? Hey, let's throw in a large sweet tea, because that's $1 too. So I got a whole meal. Here's, I got a cheeseburger, I got a small fry, and I got a large sweet tea. I paid $3.21 for it. Okay. If I wanted a salad, it's going to cost me $9.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, not only look that hamburger is going to cost you $1 per se, plus tax, all
processed foods have become so a staple of our of our lives. I mean, it started back in the 50s with the TV dinners. Mom goes to work, now we got to pull out the TV dinners, and and the processed foods have just consumed us. The problem with prepping that I found is that I'm getting a lot of things that I would not normally eat under normal circumstances. So I don't think that, when the time comes and the shit hits the fan, I'm not going to be able to sit down to the meals that I'm accustomed to making.
Well, let's look at it this way. In today's society, most people eat out of comfort, to comfort themselves. But in reality, as humanity as a collective was designed to eat to live, not live to eat.
Right.
And we've gotten it backwards because
Absolutely.
they've made food convenient. Mac and cheese, which is nothing but empty carbs and processed cheese, that became a comfort staple. We should not be using processed garbage.
But like I said, I mean, the cost of processed food. You can go to the grocery store and grab a thing of Kraft macaroni. Not the Kraft, but the store brand macaroni and cheese, the boxed macaroni and cheese for what? 50 cents a piece. We used to. I don't buy it anymore. Last time I knew it was like 50 cents a piece.
Well, it's gotten so bad with the food. But, what was the straw that broke the camel's back in our household was when I started seeing videos of people putting magnets to chicken that they bought out of the supermarket. And the magnet.
I want to tell you, there's Derek is in our chat room. He's a moderator over on our Twitch right now. But Derek has been a friend of mine for a while. He's also in our research group. He's a moderator, really good friend of mine. As a matter of fact, I have his phone number. I text messaged him while we were sitting here talking. Derek put a magnet, I believe it was to pork the other day, and it stuck to it.
Oh.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Derek, because I think it was, you said it was, you don't think you did chicken, but I think you did pork, right? Yes, pork. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I saw a video on Telegram, I think it was. It was a gentleman showing the same brand. I mean, it was from the supermarket, Shaw's Supermarkets, which is a New England thing, I think. But it's my local supermarket, and it's Signature Select is the generic brand sold by the supermarket. And he just showed the package, which is yellow and green. And he basically didn't even take out the chicken breast from the packaging. It was through the plastic, right in the styrofoam, and he stuck the magnet. And that's when my husband and I were like, that's it. We're completely and utterly convinced that we have to go with the mom and pop farmers with somewhere in our area, because I'm not eating this Morgellian stuff.
But think about it. Think about this: is we've outsourced our meat packing to China, and we know darn well that they contaminate their food. They've contaminated baby formula. They've contaminated our dog food. And now we're going to send our meats over there to be packaged by these people. And I'm not saying, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying these people, but them, okay, where they're just all about making money. I mean, they've got people in sweat houses making our cell phones who are dying of cancer because they don't protect them from the whatever it is that the residual stuff from making these phones. I mean, you got to think about it. I mean, even if you buy organic here in the United States, even if you buy organic, that organic food has been contaminated through the rain.
Well, yeah. I mean, they're pasteurization products. I mean, if you actually took, and brought your dairy products to a laboratory, I mean, the things that can be found and the bacteria that can be found in our dairy alone would be enough to discourage people from actually.
Well, my husband, when I was pregnant with my youngest son. Now, my middle son and my youngest son, I had two pregnancies while we were there. My husband worked on a dairy farm, and he used to, he would milk cows. My job was to take care of the calves. I'd take the calves from the mother, I'd feed them, and then, they would go on their way. But now, through the job, we had free housing, free electric, and everything that was provided for us at the job. But we also got all the free raw milk we could drink. Oh, hell no.
I take my chances with the raw milk than the actual ultra pasteurized
Hell
stuff.
no. I know it. No way. I will not. I don't even drink regular milk anymore.
No, I'm not a milk drinker either. No. I think we've actually gotten a lot healthier in our household where we minimize the dairy consumption in our home. We can't give up cheese.
Oh yeah.
Well, I love me some cheese.
We travel to Wisconsin to get our cheese. We go up to Kenosha, up to the cheese barn, and we go up there. And Dave's now finally, I guess he's been ordering it every couple of weeks. I'll get a package from styrofoam thing, and he'll be calling me going, I guess my cheese just came. I'm like, oh dear God.
Oh, I thought it was Dave's peace offering. Instead of buying flowers, he just buys you cheese.
He just buys me cheese. Yeah, that's right.
Nothing says I love you like a
block of Wisconsin cheese. I'm telling you, 5-year-old Wisconsin cheddar cheese. I love you.
But everybody has all these different affection expressions. Each their own. Like my husband always asks, what can I get you? And I'm just like, it's something effective like plant cloner or seeds or I don't know, just something that's practical application. Nothing says I love you like making me smarter or having a new skill. I mean, to each their own. I'm not a jewelry type of person. I'm not a very physically affectionate person. So my husband's gotten to, and he's a diehard romantic. And we're polar opposites, so I can understand the gesture, Dave, with the cheese.
That's right. Somebody had asked another question. What about where we can find seeds?
Well, actually, let's see really quick. I think I had something saved here on my bar. All right, so there is a website, DixondaleFarms.com. They actually have a seed catalog. One of the most sold out items, ironically, that I've actually had to find was onions and garlic, because those things come out in the fall and they sell out very fast nowadays because apparently I didn't even know that onions and garlic are very high in demand and there's not enough of it. The other one is Everwild, wild with an E at the end.com. Everwild Farms, they have heirloom vegetable seeds, which are GMO free and they're guaranteed to be USDA organic. Their prices are very reasonable. I have like a little bit of a seed catalog. Unless you're asking I hope that they were asking about vegetable seeds, because if you're asking about where to get cannabis seeds, my number one go-to for ordering those things would be seedsman.com. Or .nl, I think it is.
And what I'll do, guys, after we're done, I'll get those websites, those links for you guys, and I'll put them in the description area for you guys to get those.
Awesome. I mean, I have a few different options. I mean, we even, I can actually post up. There's a farm up here in Maine. They're called Heartstone Farm, which is a family run. They offer the main box, which is 34 pounds of steak and more. It's a subscription box. They ship. Nice. They are non-GMO. They're free of antibiotics. It's grass-fed, grass-finished, family farmed right here in Maine. I'll be more than happy to provide Laurie with the link. She'll post it in the description box below. There's plenty of resources. I mean, it's time to, and I applaud you guys. It's time to start thinking about these things in a big bad way, because look, if they simulated a pandemic upon us and in 2019, and it actually came to be our reality and it changed our normal to whatever they think is normal. In 2020, well, Cyber-Polygon hasn't ended. It just, according to them, their conference was on the 9th. They started their simulation shortly afterwards. I mean, and it's only a matter of time.
So we're talking a matter of months. We're talking either, okay, and let me just put this out there. Okay, so let's look at the time frame, October of 2019 to February of 2020. 4 months. Okay, 4 months. So let's do July of 2021, July, August, September, October, November. 4 months from now is November. Guys, what was Biden talking about when he first got elected, the dark winter.
Oh yeah, it's a cold, dark. It's going to be a cold, dark
Cold,
winter.
dark winter. Exactly.
Not only that, I think it's going to also, if you ask my professional opinion, I think it's also going to correlate alongside with the audits. As the audits start coming out, they're going to blame it on Cyber-Polygon, but they're going to want to shut it down. They don't want us to know what actually happened.
Absolutely.
So they're going to say, oh, look, it was an attack, a cyber attack on our infrastructure. And, I just think everything's going to go hand in hand, because I think the whole enchilada is going to come down on itself.
I think so too.
The other thing that I really wanted to quickly mention is radio. Radio has become something that's become kind of like a give or take for people. But you definitely want to get yourself a solar powered, hand cranked radio, because when the power goes out, how else are you going to know what's actually going on around you in your immediate area, or any kind of updates or broadcasts?
There you go.
So you can buy them something as cheap as like $20-$30 on Amazon. I mean, I don't usually promote Amazon, but and I would start ordering these things before the mass panic buying starts, because things are gonna sell out really, really fast. And all of the ports that we have in our country are kind of jammed up with boats right now that are not offloading containers.
Yes,
so
right.
If we're not getting a new fresh influx of products, whatever we have inland and whatever they manage to slowly dish out, that's what we're going to get before they completely, once they shut off the power, there's no more stock or inventory of nothing. So
exactly.
because
again, we depend all of our freight, and literally, okay, when these big container ships come into port, okay, it is through a computer system that offloads those containers. And so if the internet grid were to go down, not even the power grid, but the internet grid, right. These machines, they would have to unload these ships by hand.
Right.
And we go back to taking one massive ship a week to unload.
Yeah.
So we've got to start looking at these things.
Here's the other side of the coin also. So flights are grounded when the weather system is down as well, or it's not functioning. I think we had a cyber attack on the AccuWeather weather pattern tracker. And when that system is down, there are no flights either. So even if, let's say, they manage to get around the jam of containers and they start bringing in through flights, nothing is stopping a cyber attack on the AccuWeather. Mm-hmm. They don't even have to attack the actual airline that's bringing in the cargo. All they got to do is just bring down the
weather down the radar. Mm-hmm.
Yep. And that's it. You're grounded all the flights. And you also have that thing with the pilots that got altered, and they can no longer fly because the altitude up in the air puts pressure for their myocarditis on their heart. And, it's a recipe for disaster. So just think ahead. And every time you go to the grocery store, just, when you buy like a few cans of tuna, just buy a few cans more each and every time. You don't have to make a huge investment all at once. Think about maybe going on Wayfair or Lowe's or Home Depot even, and think about the rain barrel collection, because it's nice to have pallets of water, but think about when you actually have to flush a toilet or bathe or anything of the sort. You don't want to,
So when you collect rainwater, that's not to drink, right?
Well, I personally did it for both, because well, let's start with, I think that the Berkey I think everybody's familiar with a Berkey filtration system. They're way too overpriced, but you can totally makeshift, like basically MacGyver a Berkey system right in your home using 5-gallon buckets that are food grade buckets with some ceramic filters with a spigot. Mm-hmm. Totally. The total cost of building one of those things, it takes like 20 minutes once you have all the components together. Maybe $40. If you go the plastic route for your spigot, then maybe even less than that.
Okay.
But you know, if anybody actually needs to have any of these resources, I will have Laurie provide my email address. You can email me at any time, and I'll provide some resources on how to help yourself, even though you're on a budget. It's time to get resourceful, guys, with all of this stuff, especially with the supply chain being broken the way it is. And you know, it's for drinking. I mean, the colloidal silver drops is for water purification, so that this way there's no bacteria. Colloidal silver is a natural antibacterial, you know, item. And when you put a little, it goes a long way into your rainwater. It can stand there for quite a while. I mean, I think it has a lifespan. Your water after that has a lifespan of 5 years. Yeah, maybe it won't taste so great,
right?
You know, like out of a bottle or anything. But
and now is the time to start buying these or purchasing these things. You
Yeah.
know, the colloidal silver I knew back in 2013, 14, when the whole Ebola scare was going on. I mean, it was pretty scarce. You know, the federal government pulled it off the market.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I remember that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And now I'm working with well, not working, but I actually purchased with a new company that's been highly rated. Let's see if I can actually pull it up. They're actually doing really good promotions where I didn't see that they were running these promotions. I found them originally perusing on Amazon just to get options of where to get stuff. And then, you know, I don't buy it directly from Amazon. I just kind of window shop there.
Right.
And go directly to the actual, you know, company. And
Right.
it's called wearecleanwater.com. And super good company in terms of, I didn't notice that they were doing 6-packs for each one being under $20. I just bought them individually for $20 a bottle, which is like, you use a third on, you know, like a 55-gallon drum. So it'll last you for a really long time. And, you know, they actually adjusted where, because my shipment didn't ship out on time, they had some sort of an issue. They reached out to me and they're like, hey, we threw in an extra 2 bottles for free. It's on us. Thank you for waiting, you know,
Nice.
however long. And then I said, hey, you know, I don't mind. Just let me know when you're going to be shipping it out. They answered me within like 2 hours and they're like, hey, just ship today. And they were like, just sit tight. It'll be there shortly. And I said, hey, I'm in no rush. I was just wondering when you sent it out. I wish I would have seen that you had the buy 6 and, you know, you had a better deal. And they were like, hey, remind us. And I'm looking at the email. Just remind us the next time when you order the 6-pack and we'll include the 7th and 8th bottle for free.
Nice.
So they're really good. They're really good to their customers. And I appreciate really good customer service in a crazy time like now.
Exactly. We have another question, and I'm not going to put her name out there, but she has a question. She says she's on narcotics for pain. She's worried about something happening that she won't be able to get, or that she'll have to go through withdrawals. Any help on what anyone knows can help without getting super sick if I can't get my meds?
Cannabis. Hands down, cannabis. I mean, if you need some sort of outlet or somebody that will be able to help you out, again, I'll provide my email box. We can have a conversation through email. If not, you know, we can go through Laurie. But I think cannabis helps a lot of that. And I was on, let's see, after surgery number 37, I'm a cancer survivor. So I was in a lot of pain. Plus I have fibromyalgia, which is an autoimmune disease and a very painful one. Cannabis actually helps out, and you don't actually have to smoke it. If you have little kids, it doesn't have to be that ostentatious where you smoke cannabis in front of your kids. But I think that it's a very big medicinal thing. That's why they've waged war on this plant. But it does do
Absolutely.
a lot of things.
We know that we've got cannabinoid receptors in our bodies. That this was why the U.S. government, when they did the whole reefer madness and tried to, you know, and made it illegal, they knew that we had these receptors. They knew that without filling these cannabinoid receptors in our bodies, that left us susceptible to have toxins fill those receptors, causing cancer and all kinds of other things.
Yeah, I mean, during this pandemic, people were worried about, you know, the thing. I mean, not the thing that goes in, you know,
The other thing.
altars, but
the original thing.
The original thing. And the funny thing is that a lot of scientists started putting out case studies where it was even effective at neutralizing the symptoms of the thing.
Yeah.
And,
Absolutely.
yeah, it has a lot of medicinal properties.
Exactly.
And again, I will provide my email.
Yeah, Jean, go ahead and after the show is done, go ahead and message anybody that's listening. If you want to, find out anything, go ahead and send a message to Exposing Satanic World Government, and throw it, in our message box, in our inbox, and I'll make sure that you get the information. Also, I'm going to, if you're listening over on Twitch, because it doesn't save the broadcast afterwards, come on over to YouTube, drop us a line underneath in the comment section. I'll make sure that we get you set up.
Yeah. I mean, anything that I could do to help, I'm all for it. I mean, I may not answer right away sometimes because life gets away from me. But I always do answer. I don't leave things unanswered.
Exactly. Now, Ella.
Yeah.
You have a YouTube channel.
I do. I mean, we're not as active on it as I'd like to be, but it's really hard to get my co-hosts and I to, get together and sit down and actually have these discussions. But my YouTube channel is called Ain't That the Truth? I think some of your listeners actually joined in on our first time premiere. My co-host is expecting a baby any day now, so it's kind of hard to get him to sit down and have a conversation. But I think I'll move forward a little bit more often on my own with some guest speakers, because there's a lot of information that people miss out on, such as Cyber-Polygon.
Right. And you're going to have to give me the link to that, because you know what? I think I'm subscribed on the other channel. I don't think I'm subscribed on the other two. So I'm going to have a link for that. But yeah, I know you guys, we sent a lot of people over. I think Linda was in there. I think Derek was in there. I think Trisha went over, and myself, and I absolutely love your format.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, Jamil is great. I've never actually met Jamil in person. That is my co-host. We actually met through somebody who's running for office in Pennsylvania, which is really odd. But, we've become like really good friends. I mean, we lift each other up. And I think a lot of people can relate with what's going on in the world. I think a lot of people have friends like that right now. And, we have some pretty interesting topics to talk about. We just need to find the time to get together to discuss these things publicly, because it seems like a lot of this is being concealed and censored, and it shouldn't even be that way, because humanity needs to be given the chance to survive, and not even survive. We're meant to thrive. And it's a little unfair to kind of throw all of these things at us and then muzzle the people that are saying, hey, there's other options than using their chemical stuff and depending on technology. I mean, we're given all of this stuff for a reason. And I mean, like, all this holistic stuff, all of this knowledge, all of the resources to learn all of these things. And we were afforded, for the most part of 2020, we were afforded the time. Just right. A lot of people did a lot of mindless things, like watch DJs do their thing. And I'm not saying anything against DJs. I used to be one. I know Robbie's a DJ. So I'm just saying they watch all of these live streams, which is nice, but when that's all you're doing, then, you're not using all of this time to your advantage. And I think that time is precious, because our life force is the real currency, guys. It's not the gold and the silver and this fake paper money that they're throwing at us, or the digital dollars. The real currency of the world is our time and our life force. And they're draining it for all of these IOUs, which we call dollars.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. And that's a whole other show.
Oh, yeah.
Because of that.
But yeah, I mean, whatever you guys need, I'm more than happy to help out any which way I can. I mean, Laurie, you always are welcome to call anytime or get a hold of me. You know how to do that.
I do. This open radio is my lifesaver right now.
Well, yeah, I mean,
My pain level is decreased. I'm
really glad that I was actually able to do that, like to help you out, you know, even with that situation. I mean, it sounded really weird as somebody you barely know, but you know, when you see somebody that's pretty much
here's the thing with Ella is Ella, you even said, you know, I don't warm up to people very much.
No.
You know, and her and I just clicked. I mean, like seriously, like she messaged me, I think one day, and that was it. We've just, ever since that day, it's like
actually, I'll be honest with you. And from my main social media, I actually tried to get a hold of you, and I spoke to you. I was speaking in bursts because it seemed like you were very non-affected by the things that I was saying, and I was like, hey, I'm a satanic ritual abuse survivor, and here's the proof. I sent you like some articles and stuff from what happened to me, you know, whatever the media was willing to write, because I asked for them to redact my name out of it, because at the time I was working in a hospital in my area, and this was a very public situation that was unfolding, and I didn't want people to come with pitchforks and stone me in front of my house and stuff. But you know, and I think you were not very impressed. You were like, yeah, sure, whatever. I'll get to it when I get to it. And I was like, okay.
In my defense,
I know a lot
of people making those claims.
Well, you know, at the time I was willing to kind of prove myself, which
I know that, you know, and like I said, I mean, it's time. I mean, we get inundated with, like, you know, as a matter of fact, a person just reached out to me today. We're exposing satanic world government. Sent a message and said, you know, I'm ex-military. I know this. I know that. And you know, I know all these things. And you know, I'd be willing to talk with you. And you know, here's the thing: is I want to trust people, but I've been doing this for so long that there are a lot of people out there.
Well, I think one of the key things was I never said that I'm willing to talk to you. I more was like, I would be more than happy if you would be willing to talk to me, because I think my story needs to come out.
You know what? I think I remember that.
Yeah, I was like, whenever you're ready, you know, and I sent you all the stuff up front, and I was like, whenever you're ready to read through that and you want to ask questions, I think I can be helpful to fill in and bridge the gaps in whatever it is that you talk about.
I think you contacted me on the account that I don't have anymore, and I lost everybody then. And then you found me again.
Well, I was not able to add you as a friend. There was no option for me to add you as a friend on the, you know, the profile, the first one. And I figured, you know, if I just pop in from time to time and be like, you know, here I have some more stuff, and here I have some more stuff, you know, like maybe you would kind of see that I'm kind of helping to bridge the gap of some of the questions throughout all of your broadcasts. And, you know, this is what's happening, and it goes a little bit further than that. And, you know, and where I'm coming from, ultimately, the last piece of information that I kind of threw out at you, like, hey, this is what I went through. This was my life. I was basically going to be a sacrificial lamb, if you will. I mean, everybody says sheeple, but I wasn't a sheeple.
No.
You know, and I was in there. I was in the den, and I've lived to tell the story. I mean, like, I can't say a lot of people survived and thrived beyond surviving a sacrifice or an attempted sacrifice, because they're usually successful at doing things like that.
I only know of a couple of people that, and at least I've been doing this a number of years, and I only know a couple. Her name's you know what? I can't even think of her name, so it must not. The Most High must not want me to put her name out there. But she's a survivor of the DUMBs.
Oh, wow.
You know, she was a super soldier, survivor of the DUMBs. She's come and she's now completely turned her life over to Christ, and she helps other people get out of the DUMBs. And you know, so I think you know, your story is amazing, and I would love to, like, you know, go into that, because Russ Ditstar is one of my, let's just say, you know, a lot of people, I cut my teeth in the truth community on Russ Didstar, and a couple of his associates with coming to the super soldiers and stuff like that. And reading the documentation on Wilkerson and how he was a witness to the things the atrocities that happen in these bunkers. And so you have a story that I firmly believe the Most High had a mission for you. And
oh, absolutely. I mean, look, I just posted on my social media a video of John Voight talking about hearing the word of God with Tucker Carlson, ironically.
Wow.
And I posted that on my social media I think it was yesterday or so. And I wrote, "Me too, John, me too," because
yeah.
In 2010, I mean, he had found me and robbed me, and it was basically he played this cat and mouse to lure, he would take all my stuff, and when I would run away and all that stuff. And I sat in my apartment and I sat there crying, and I felt like hopeless, like the fear, the everything was coming out. And I heard like, hey, you know what, if you actually show faith in me, and if you actually show me your devotion, and you're brave, and you go back in there and you just show them who's boss, then I promise nothing will happen to you. And and if you show this blind faith and loyalty, I will give you what you seek the most. And what I wanted, honestly, was I wanted to be married, I wanted to have children, I just wanted to be loved and accepted fully, not like trick me into this whole toxic situation.
Right.
Of being drugged and trafficked and, being a slave for the Catholic Church. And it was a wild time, and it wasn't exactly the most fun time. And Laurie, I mean, it happened. My home was destroyed, and I knew nothing about rebuilding. I mean, I just stood in a bunch of rubble and that I called my house. And I even asked one of the detectives that was leading this whole arrest, that arrested my former handler. And I was like, who's going to help me like pick up the pieces? And this
right. Where do I do? Because that seems to be the problem is you have this way of life. You've got this mindset. You've come to the realization and pretty much sometimes the acceptance of the situation you're in. And then when you've been broken free, they just kind of leave you.
Well, I'm going to say that they didn't break me free. I mean, they helped contribute to it. But there was a gentleman that was friends with my former handler who kind of he saw from the outside. He didn't see like the nitty gritty of like the satanic stuff, but he kind of started feeling something's not right because of how the picture was being portrayed to him.
Gotcha.
And he actually is someone who he's the one that alerted the police that this was going on, and he saved my life. And I was very sad to find out that he had lost his life about a year ago. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that it was by his own hand. So I was very bummed out about that, but I was able to see him a few times before, and he passed on. And I always told him I'm very thankful, even though in the beginning I really didn't want to listen. Mm-hmm. I was very trained to, you go to the store, you don't have any stops in between, you go to work, you don't have any, you come straight home, you talk to no one, you do, you alert no one. And just this person, it took a lot of convincing and a lot of crafty work by this person to get me out of there. But going back, I heard God tell me all of these things, and I didn't know how to quit. And this police, detective, he was like, you know what? Not our problem. When I asked, like, how do I fix this? Like, who's gonna help me fix this? I have no windows and it's snowing outside. And he's like, not our problem. You'll figure it out. And you know something? I actually rebuilt my house with one friend that came to help me from New York, because I'm originally from New York City. He actually came to help me, and it was my own two hands. And I was like, wow, I rebuilt like this place with just one friend. I mean, it took a year, but and then once I got that under control, and I got a little bit of help with going to therapy, to undo a lot of the things, because I was still doing things that were like mimicking that I was still in this satanic ritual stuff, and
Yeah.
not that I was actually doing like, you know, like
You still have that mindset. I mean,
right,
it's
things
still,
just had to be laid out a
Yeah.
certain way, things had to be certain
Right.
colors, things, and all of that. And you know what, once I actually started getting the help, once I actually I went, you know, I couldn't go back to work after that because I had been in the middle of a federal case and all of that, and things were blamed on me. So in America, usually it's supposed to be innocent until proven guilty, and they treated me like guilty until proven innocent, because it was being said that I was the crazy one, and I was kind of suspended from work without pay. So I started going to school to get my master's degree in forensic psychology when I got that idea to go into the military. I mean, if you can't beat them, join them, right? You know, that was my way of being like, okay, I was never going to be put in that vulnerable position ever again. I was going to get physically and mentally stronger
I get it.
by throwing myself out there, you know?
I get it. I absolutely get it. Yeah.
And I actually, you know, God fulfilled every promise to a T. I met my husband. I like the day before I met him, I was like, I'm never getting married, and I don't want to have children. Who wants to bring little people into a world like this that has this going on?
Right.
And why would I want to be vulnerable with anyone else when this has happened to me, unsuspecting at first, and then it got worse and worse? But my husband broke down those barriers, because I really do feel that because I put in the work to show God that I was faithful and I listened to his word to a T, to a letter, that now came the time where he gave me that. He gave me strength, he gave me courage, and he gave me love, you know? And now it's just my hubby and I, and you know, we have this you know, like how do I say this unification where it's us against whatever's happening right now.
You have an amazing testimony, Ella.
Thank you.
It's
I mean,
an amazing testimony.
I don't think it ends quite here, because my former handler is still dragging me to court each and every time. I mean, like, what is it? We just had in May, they dismissed another court case, and I think he is building another one, which I don't know what's going on with that. I don't let it get to me. I have zero fear when it comes to that. He's currently in prison again. But, you know, I have somebody, you know, periodically sitting outside. I mean, they fried my computer. They fried my iPhone. They keep trying to intimidate me, and they don't understand that they don't intimidate somebody like me. Exactly. So that's the most important thing, guys, is you can't have fear. These people, they feed on that stuff.
Absolutely.
And the minute that your adrenaline kicks in, and we were talking about that earlier, the minute that you know, your adrenaline kicks in and that fear, that paralyzing fear kicks in.
Yeah, it's that aura that you put out. You actually, that's when dogs, okay, let's put it as, using a dog as an example. Dogs can smell your fear. That's exactly what these entities, these whatever humanoids that they are, they sense that fear.
Oh yeah, they smell it. They smell it.
They feed off of it, and that, you know, it's the dopamine that they get, the thrill of knowing that you're scared.
Oh yeah, I mean, even the city workers. I think you cruise through my Facebook page, and you see the city and they have construction going on, and I asked them not to park or constrict my driveway. And every time these guys, they come in with their machines and they just stand right smack in the middle of my driveway, and they want me to beg and grovel, and I'm like, no, that's not going to happen. You're going to move. Like, you're going to move. I said, please, I'm not going to beg and grovel for. He's like, if you ask nicely, I'll let you out. Yeah, I'm not a prisoner of my own home. You're actually criminally trespassing outside of your right of way. So if I were you, I'd just get going, like now.
Exactly.
You know, they don't. The response that you get by being very stern. I mean, you don't have to be rude and like, I don't curse at them. You know, I have my camera on so everybody can see that I'm not doing anything wrong, but you can't show anyone this fear. I mean, you can't even break out in a sweat bead, because they smell it and they go in for the jugular.
Yeah, and that's exactly, being in a toxic, abusive relationship I was with for 5 years. That's one thing I learned. I mean, I learned very quickly on in the relationship to control my emotions, to control my fear, because that's what he wanted. He wanted that spark of I don't even know. It was that spark of fear. You know, he used to put me and take me to the brink of death and then bring me back, you know.
Yeah. It's a cat and mouse game.
Yeah,
It's
many times.
Yeah.
Crushed my larynx, left me to fight for my breath all night. Wouldn't let me. I took my phone. Wouldn't let me call an ambulance or anything. Oh yeah. So I mean, it's you know, that's definitely. They feed off of that fear.
Oh yeah,
they do. That's why I always say, you know, when we tell you things and we talk about these things, you know, we don't want you to have the spirit of fear, because the spirit of fear does not come from the Father. You know.
No. My main objective is, you know, I made this mistake. I've learned from this mistake. I'd like to teach this mistake so others do not repeat this.
Right.
You know, I mean, now I get to see. I actually see them, you know, like I live in Freemason country up here. I mean, I live in one of the most heavily Luciferian occupied states, ironically. And that's why I was trafficked up here. But I will say that I basically learned to smell them out. And every time, it never fails. They try to get one up, and they know my story. I mean, it's through the Catholic Church up here. You know, they have their lodges, but it's mostly through the Catholic Church. And, you know, anyone who is very much into going to Mass knows our story. I mean, the ex-handler, he was a Knight of Columbus and a Knight Templar. You know, he was looking to go up from 32nd to 33rd, which is the ultimate thing without being part of their bloodline. He was going to be a soldier for them. And, you know, like when they come around me, just something happens and I'm like, I don't like anything you have to offer. Be gone. Shoe be gone. You know, like you're kind of like the bubble gum under my shoe. Yeah, well, you know, my one of my favorite sayings is "Not today, Satan. Not today, or any other day for that matter."
It was funny because I was looking through. You know how on your Facebook it has people that you may know,
right?
And my ex popped up. And I even wrote, I said, when your ex shows up and the people you may know, not today, Satan.
Right? Well, I have friends, you know, that used to be his, and after everything went down and all of that went public, he is who he is and does what he does. You know, they kind of turned on him and they were like, yeah, we want no part of that. We just didn't know all of that. We knew he was a little off. We didn't know he was that much off.
Oh, Lord.
But they now are like, they sound the alarms, because when he actually got out after a 10-year, you know, stay at Club Fed, they let him out for a little bit. And yeah, they let him out for a little bit, and he couldn't behave himself, which I warned his, you know, his babysitter about. And they didn't believe me, but I guess they learned that day. But yeah, when he rejoined the social media realm, he started making up fake accounts because I pretty much, you know, like I wanted no part of that.
Yeah.
I want to, and everybody started like pointing fingers, and they were like, you know, oh, this is a fake account, and he tried to get a hold of us, and you know, like, I just want you to let you know, don't add this person, because that's a wolf in sheep's clothing. And I was like, well, thank you for telling me. So now I find it really interesting that so many people are willing to like out him, and you know, but he's back in, and I'm like, sweet, we can just like move on from here, where I can look out for others that he sends, because he sends neighbors, you know, like his jail neighbors.
Yeah.
And I think they're like his buddies in Freemasonry. And I actually, which is funny because it makes people laugh, but I didn't find it funny at the time. They took my firearms away from me at the time. And then he started sending these people to, fully knowing that I'm here alone, and you know, like the house is like Swiss cheese with a door. And I started chasing them down my driveway with a machete with the federal agents watching my home. And I'm like, you know, and I'm kind of showing them this gesture, like, what do you want me to do? I have to protect myself somehow. If he's going to send convicts to my house and you took away my firearm, it's do or die, man. It's do or die.
Right.
Even though I look like the crazy lady in my fuzzy slippers running down the driveway with this huge machete. But you can't have fear. I mean, that's one of the things. I could have just packed it all up and gone to stay with my family in New York City.
Well, you want the people to be able to say, when he says to them, "I'm sending you to her house," and do you want them to look at him and say, "Oh, hell no, I ain't going to that crazy woman's house."
Exactly. I mean, it took a little while, but we got to that point where he stopped sending. Well, I also petitioned for him to be moved because apparently they moved him to Brooklyn, New York, to MDC for a little while, and I made a big stink about that. And usually survivors or they don't really get much of a say to anything that happens because you think the whole system is on their side. I mean, I thought it was a miracle that I was able to prosecute and get him to be convicted and be put away for as long as he was. Yeah. But that usually doesn't happen either. They usually go free like right away.
Exactly.
And that took like 4 years. Just so you were clear on that. That was no easy thing to do. But I got it done. And he even one of the court dates that we had, he got his shackles over my neck and pulled back right out in the open. And I think he was gonna attempt to like do a quick one, real, like on the fly, and it didn't work out either. But these people, they're just like they wait for that very vulnerable moment, and then they strike. And especially if you're in fear, you're not thinking very clearly.
Absolutely.
I mean, you literally, it's seconds means a matter of life or death. And yeah, so whatever is to come, even with Cyber-Polygon, guys, the biggest thing is not to plunge yourself and keep your family out of this chaos. I mean, make sure that you move in silence. You don't tell people about your prep stuff, where you keep it. I mean, where do you expect to bug out? Or if you are bugging out, which meaning you leave your house and you go stay in a remote area.
Exactly, because I mean, there's going to come a time. I would say that, in my neighborhood, I'm probably the only one prepping. So I'm not going to like tell everybody, because that when the shit hits the fan, they know that you've got stuff.
Right.
Well,
people are going to knock on doors. And I'm going to say this. I mean, you usually, the rule of thumb, if it's a neighbor or something, make sure you know your neighbors. I mean, that's another key important thing. I live in my neighborhood for the last 17 years, and I know 0 neighbors. I'll be honest with you.
I'm the same way, girl. I know nobody.
Which means
but I don't want to know anybody.
Right. So I'm just saying, in my case, if they're lucky, I'll open it and give you like a small bottle of water and a protein bar and send you on your way. I mean, but probably that's not going to happen either. But you definitely, if you must go out and there's a SHTF type of situation, you definitely don't want to wear like bright colors. You definitely don't want to make sudden drastic movements. They call them gray. You be like a gray man. And if you don't know what a gray man is, definitely look that terminology up.
There was we talked about this earlier today. There was I think it was an ebook. Okay. And it was back in 2012 or something like that. And the title of it was How to Survive Martial Law.
Yeah, we spoke about that earlier.
We spoke about that. Yeah. And, one of the number one was, it's a don't panic, because the first people that die are the ones that panic. But it told you how to maneuver, how to where to store an extra backpack, or what clothes to wear, what times to go out, how to get around. I mean, it was quite interesting. I don't remember the name of it, but you guys, if you wanted just to Google How to Survive Martial Law, I think that was the name of it. But it went into all that, and it's true. I mean, we got to keep our heads about us, because there is going to come a time, if history is going to repeat itself here, as far as with these drills, and I'm using air quotes, guys, drills that go live, happens just about every time, that we can, in the next few months, possibly see an attack on the infrastructure.
Oh, here's another thing that I forgot to mention. Guys, if you have pets, okay, I have 5 dogs, so I'm prepared. Like, we live on one floor of the house. I mean, I have everything on one floor, and I'm prepared to kind of allow my dogs to go inside. But you have to make sure that you have a means to. You're not going to be able to freely walk your dogs outside. When the whole world's going to, excuse my French, to shit outside of your doors, you're not going to be able to freely go out and walk your dog. I mean, chances are somebody's going to look at your dog like a free meal on a leash. And, you don't want to do that. So I would just start making preparations for whatever you need, like wee pads or whatnot, and maybe have like, you know, a trash can that you can put the excrement in, and not only you know, the dog's excrement, but if you have to go to the bathroom and you can't flush the toilet, because I know our water freezes without heat. You know, a lot of people aren't thinking about that situation for the winter months now that it's summer outside. I mean, I don't have to worry because I have a wood burning stove, but you definitely want to do like the 5-gallon bucket with the pool noodle trick, with a trash bag or contractor bag. But you got to make sure you have enough of that stuff. And you got to make sure to prep it, because when the supply chain actually breaks and there's not all of the stuff, the panic buying kicks in. Like, think about it. When they said that they're running out of gas, people started panic buying. Like, people were putting gas in shopping bags and in their trunk. Which
I was going to say there was a woman. She had plastic bags. She was.
What about the lady with the hamper with the holes? Like, one minute she's trying to pump gas into this hamper. That, I mean, like, where's, and this is what we mean by when you
adrenaline makes you stupid.
Yeah, when you panic, this is the mistakes that you make. And I was just like, but look what happened. They manufactured this outage of gas in certain states by creating this mass hysteria that they're not going to have gas. You know, they actually expedited that by people like panic buying.
Exactly. Oh, panic. Absolutely.
Yes, I did say pool noodle. Yeah. Because if you try to sit, and I'll explain to you, if you're going to try to sit on a rim of a plastic 5-gallon bucket, that's not going to feel pleasant if you have to go number 2. So
get a pool noodle, cut it and form it and put it around, cut it down the middle, not all the way through, but just on one side, and then
just to line the rim.
To line the rim.
So you can sit on it, and you can actually use the handle of the bucket to put your toilet paper roll, so it'll hold it or whatnot. It's a little trick that, you know, survival tricks. I mean, you kind of have to think about these things. Look what happened in Texas. I have some friends that were in Louisiana and Texas when they got hit with that HARP storm.
Yep.
And they had no way to flush. They had no water. Their water in their bathtubs that they filled up, it froze solid, so they couldn't even use that. You know, what do? Oh, there you go.
There you go, guys. There's your pool noodle and your bucket.
Yep, your MacGyver toilet. I like to. Yep, your poop bucket right there. DIY poop bucket.
There you go.
You know, so there's more ways to skin a cat, so to speak. You know, but we kind of have to move away from this digital society, because if that's what they're going to attack, we can live off of the old school ways. That's how we came about in modern day society.
Absolutely.
We just need to retrain ourselves to go back in time. As crazy as that may sound, that's actually the best thing that we could do for ourselves.
I think one of the best books that I've purchased in the last year or so was a Depression era cookbook.
Oh, that's that water pie came from something like that.
Yes, water pie.
From that area, that water pie.
Yes.
I mean, I've never tried water pie. It looks very interesting to make. I've seen somebody actually demonstrate that on.
For you guys that don't know what water pie is, it's an actual pie crust that you bake off. You put your weights in it, you bake it off, and then you pour in water, flour, sugar, and then you dot butter, half a stick of butter on the top, and you put it in the fridge or in the oven. You bake it off, and it's a pie.
Right. You would think that just like that would make nothing, but it does.
No, it does. Yeah.
Listen, I mean, even the people in Cuba right now, and I'm going to touch on that subject just briefly. They have lived like that even up until modern times. I mean, like, they don't have anything right now. Their hospitals have no supplies. They're like refugee camps.
Yeah, we have American boaters from Miami are taking supplies. Mm-hmm.
But it's a marvel. How do they survive? I mean, you have to get really crafty, in your survival, and these are the things that you have to start thinking about while everything is so semi-operational. Yeah. Because once the light goes out, that chaos is real. I mean, that SHTF type situation is real. I mean, people after 72 hours of going hungry, people get super desperate, and desperate times call for desperate measures.
And it doesn't get any better once you
No.
once you get past, once it happens, once the switch is pulled. Okay, that is the moment that switch is pulled is the best that it's going to be, because from that moment on, it's going to get bad.
You literally have 24 hours. 24 hours. You literally before all hell breaks loose.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, people that are going to be looking to rob other people. There's going to be people eating people on the streets. I mean, I hate to be this blunt, but you have to think about these things to stay indoors as much as you can. Out of desperation, people are going to resort to cannibalism because that's their last chance of survival on this planet. And that's where the zombie apocalypse theory comes in. And there's other things that you and I spoke about, but I'm taking it one step at a time to inform people how bad this is going. It's going to go from okay to bad to worse to completely and utterly obscene.
Yeah. You know, the Hollywood horror flicks that we've been watching for years and years and years is going to look like it's a Disney movie, to tell you the truth. So
yeah. Well, humanity has kind of gone downhill a little bit, and it's like everybody started getting into this, you know, self-preservation kind of thing, and they forgot, like, you know, this whole how to be a good neighbor, how to be a good Samaritan, how, you know, because everybody's adopted this whole situation where it's like self-centeredness. And it's good to have a certain degree of self-centeredness, to think of yourself and your family first. But
right, it's not a, yeah, we have been groomed to, you know, to be the loving neighbor, put other people first, don't be selfish, you know, if you have, you give, but that mindset right there is going to be your downfall.
No, I mean, there's a fine line between helping your neighbor and screwing yourself. Let's get that. There's a fine line.
Here's the thing is as time goes on, okay, in the first few days, yeah, you could help people out, but as the situation progresses, you know, it's going to be, you know, it's all for one and one for all.
Actually, I'm just going to tell you something. In that type of situation, if you actually utilize the first hours or the first days to help, you will have a never-ending line outside of your door. So basically, don't do that.
Exactly.
Don't do that, because then as the person's walking away with their protein bar and their bottle of water, and somebody else is walking along the street, they're amongst this all craziness, they'll be like, oh, look, we stopped at this house and it looks like this and it looks like this. They'll give you a protein bar. And before you know it, the whole neighborhood is lined up like a soup kitchen outside of the door. Exactly. And eventually they get impatient and they're going to start breaking windows and climbing in.
And then it's going to turn to violence. Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, you don't want to have like a standoff and stuff from inside your home. Safety first. Yeah, safety is definitely key. And that's part of being prepared and, you know, starting to lay the groundwork for pharmaceuticals, first aid. That's another thing. First aid is a huge thing. We didn't have alcohol or hydrogen peroxide the entire, you know, pandemic. So, you know, we kind of had to I mean, we didn't have hand sanitizer either, but within like the first couple of days, everybody's like, oh, can you find hand sanitizer? I was like, no, I'm not really looking for it. I know how to make it, you know, so why would I? And besides the fact, why do you need a hand sanitizer for a respiratory virus? I mean, that's kind of weird, but, you know.
Well, my thing is what, people weren't washing their hands before it? I mean, seriously, I mean, you know, we need hand sanitizer. We need this. We need that. Well, you weren't washing your hands before this. What were you using then? You know, it's like, you know, like you go to a restaurant now and right on the door, it says, you know, table sanitized after every use. Well, you weren't doing that before. I mean, you know, you're a restaurant.
Listen, I think I have my own premonitions on all of this nonsense. You know, all of this sanitizing brought more harm, and all of this washing, sanitizing brought more harm. We are a population of beings on this planet that need to have live bacteria around us.
Absolutely.
The more we wipe it out, the more we do a disservice to our own immune system. I mean, as a kid, the best antibiotics you ever had was sending your kid out there to play in the mud.
Oh my
and get
gosh.
dirty, you know, and
I can remember our neighbor kid up the street got chicken pox, and all the moms gathered us together and said we're having a chicken pox party. And literally, I mean, you took your kid to get exposed to chicken pox because you wanted.
My little brother I remember my little brother got sick. I was in junior high school. He was just entering elementary school. He got chicken pox. And we were always climbing into, you know, like he would climb into bed with me to watch television because he didn't have his own television at the time. And I had all the latest, you know, the game consoles and all of that he found just fascinating. So I was like, all right, let's get it over with. All right. I haven't been sick with the chicken pox. Climb in. And then I spent like 2 weeks in the bed with all of these dots, like cursing him out. But then we got my mom sick at, you know, like at her age. And my mom was like cursing us out. And I was like, well, just think about it this way. You won't ever have to worry about this ever again.
Exactly.
But yeah, I would, you know, like any type of thing. Like, how about bug spray? Guys, everybody kind of negates, you're going to need the bug spray. Because if there's like food and excrement and all of these bugs are going to come out. How are you going to keep them at bay? And
people don't think about, you know, the things that normally we keep at bay. You know, our houses are clean. Hopefully your house is clean, and, you know, you don't have food sitting out, and you don't have, you know, you don't have bugs in your house. But here's the thing is, I have a refrigerator that keeps my food fresh. So I don't have to worry about bugs coming in my house and mold growing on my food. But there's going to come a time that I'm not going to have that. And now you're inundated with different critters that are coming in. And you know, so you've got to think out of the box. Guys, go into your kitchen tomorrow and just stand in your kitchen and do a circle and look at every single thing and think about, okay, what would I do if I didn't have electric and I wanted, you know, and think about, okay, the refrigerator. What would I do? Well, if it's wintertime, you're going to put the food outside. But now you got wild animals coming up.
AKA people.
Or people, okay? I mean, this is something that I think that if you have a neighbor or you have a family that you can trust and work together, you know, and come up with a plan and everything. So I do want to do a lot more prepping shows because, you know, you and I talked about this is, you know, talking about things like Cyber-Polygon and other things is good and all, but when the shit hits the fan, if people don't know how to take care of themselves or to take care of their families, then, you know, we've kind of fallen short on our duty.
Right. Well, we dropped the ball in that case. I mean, we totally missed the mark if we don't help people get through this. I mean, the other thing I wanted to quickly mention is get yourself very intimately introduced with the black duct tape that's weatherproof, because you're going to want to put that over your windows and that's something relatively easy and cheap to do right about now. You know, when things start, the power goes out, just put like a cross or a star pattern over the windows, because people are going to be looking to climb in. You're going to want to think about security. I mean, granted, the dogs are a good deterrent. I mean, I have really big dogs, and one of them is not very people friendly. So I kind of have a little extra. Plus, we have means of self-defense. But, you know, they don't need to climb in. So we've started stocking up on the black weather, you know.
Very good idea.
Just even that alone means that you can hear the sound of the windows breaking, but they won't be able to climb in that easy. So it'll give you time to grab whatever.
It'll give you time, exactly.
You know, it's just little tricks of how to be able to buy yourself enough time to be able to help yourself.
Right. Jeffrey says, look into Mylar material for the windows.
Yep, Mylar is a good one too. You're definitely going to want blackout curtains because you don't want people seeing the lights on. You don't want people prying into your home. Mini blinds are great, but think about what happens at night if you do have like a candle lit or you do have a stove, you know, burning like I do inside. That's the one thing during that whole issue last year, one of the first things that I did was I changed all the curtains throughout all of my house to be complete blackout curtains because I don't want anybody seeing inside my home. You know, that's another thing. I mean, I told you about that whole issue that USPS tried to walk into my house unlawfully.
Yeah.
And my dog had to defend us, you know, and but yeah, I mean, you have stuff like that. I mean, even people who you think are okay to be around you and be around your family. I mean, you have to think in desperate times calls for desperate measures. And it doesn't matter how much you guys profess that you love each other and you're there for one another. But when that person goes without for X period of time and you've got what they want, eventually that self-preservation instinct kicks in, and you know, you don't want to be left in that situation. You want to be able to make sure that you keep yourself as safe as possible. You err on the side of caution.
Exactly.
And yeah, I mean, again, I'm not going to go for too much longer with that, but if anybody actually needs some resources.
Now, like I said, I mean, you know, go ahead and shoot us a message over on Exposing Satanic World Government. Hit us in the inbox. Go ahead and message me if you can find me. Laurie Swan is the only one that I'm using right now. It's this. Let me pull up my account so you know. Send me a friend request or drop me a line. I usually check my friend request or I usually check my message requests a couple times a day just to make sure. I'm going to show you my page right now. Go ahead and hit me up. I will get you the information that you're looking for. This is my page right here. So
if you want to, Laurie, you can flick on the alternate account that I have because the other one is suspended.
Which one?
The Bella one.
Okay.
Well, the other one, I mean, people can. You
can still get messages, but
I can't add anybody on the other one. So
yeah, let me pull you up here. Give me just a minute. There you are, right here. And drop it down. Okay, so that's me, and here is Ella. And this is her. Okay. So go ahead and throw us a line, message, or get a hold of us, and any of the information that you want, we'll make sure that we get that to you. And if we don't know what it is, we'll make sure that we find it for you.
Yep. Absolutely.
So, well, hon, we're coming up on 2.5 hours.
I know.
So I think we're going to end this for tonight, but I do want to invite you back at another times because I think we have a lot more to talk about. And like I said, I really want to do some more prep shows and keep an eye on this Cyber-Polygon. I'm getting tired. The Cyber-Polygon, because I really do believe that within the next 4, 5, 6 months, we're going to be seeing the ramifications of it.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, guys. And again, please, you know, pull yourself together. No fear. Make sure that everything is, if you start taking the necessary steps now, nothing should be an issue moving forward.
Exactly. So I want to thank you for joining me tonight. I thank everybody in the chat room for joining us as well. Thank the moderators for doing another job that is pretty thankless, and I do appreciate them more than you imagine. Again, if you're new to the channel, welcome. Take a minute to hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you know when we go live. I want to thank everybody. Until next time, guys, remember, eyes open, no fear.